Hi everyone, my name is Selah and I am a freshman at North Carolina A&T State University. And today I'll be explaining and discussing my understanding from the reading The New Negro by Alain Locke. But before I jump into that, I'd like to give a little briefing about Alain Locke and what he believes in before I begin discussing his literary work. So I'm gonna be looking at my phone so I could recite his biography correctly. Alain Locke was a journalist, philosopher, educator, and scholar during his time. He was very well known for his writing and support in the Harlem Renaissance. He promoted African American artists and writers, encouraging them to look to Africa for artistic inspiration. His writing focused on African and African American identity. So all around, Alain Locke was a huge promoter for Africans and for Africans having self-confidence and self-dependency to be proud of who they are, whether that was through writing, art, dance, or even through their own style. And he really encouraged and promoted that social aspect in life. That was just a little short briefing about Alain believes, and he explains a lot of that in his writings, such as The New Negro, which I'm about to discuss today. The New Negro was published in 1925, and for those of you who's unsure what happened during that time, 1920s was an age of social and political change known as the Roaring Twenties. Many people was doing well off financially and economically because of the stock market. And also during that time was the Harlem Renaissance, which was a huge impact to African American lives and was called a huge impact to African American lives. And the reading of The New Negro gave me an overall understanding of the Harlem Renaissance and what was a New Negro. In the beginning, he talks about the evolution of the Negro from the old Negro to the new Negro. And what he said about the old Negro was it was the past for the blacks who were being suppressed by stereotypes. And he mentioned that they were not humans, but more so of a formula. And what he meant by that is they were supposed to be condemned or something to be argued about or to be kept down or in their place, to be harassed, patronized, or socially burdened. So basically, they had no freedom. And that's where the new evolution of the new Negro comes along. And he explains the new Negro is a spiritual emancipation. And it was referred to a new generation of the post-Reconstruction blacks taking pride in their demand for equal political and economic rights and start to establish an independent voice in African American arts and literature, which is basically the Harlem Renaissance. He explains that more so in the reading of why African Americans left the South and went to the North for like a better life, and why it began to Harlem, and how Harlem became the pulse of the Negro world and where African Americans go to in order to express themselves. So overall, The New Negro was very informative and it was very inspiring, considering that it was a lot dealing with blacks expressing themselves. One of the questions that my professor asked me was, in the 20th century America, in your perspective, what would it mean to be a new Negro? Well, basically, 21st century and the new Negro is basically one aspect, I would say, is to strive to be better. A lot of Negroes are trying to, I'm going to start calling them Negroes, African Americans are trying to, better themselves, get it at a higher stature. So in like wealth or more so wealth. So that's one thing to meant to be a new Negro in the 21st century. Another thing it meant to be in the 21st century to be a new Negro is the same thing basically Locke said in his in his reading The New Negro, is to like express themselves, to be more confident within their own skin, to wear out their natural hair, to embrace melanin and everything. And yeah, basically that's all I have to say about The New Negro. It's a very inspiring work. I recommend to all African Americans to read, to learn more about their culture. And yeah, so for those of you who stayed and watched this to the ending, you're the real MVP, and thank you.